Keeper of the Wool Heart. Characters: 1. Sophia, 38 years old, a successful divorce lawyer, a woman who believes only facts and documents. Her heart is a perfectly oiled mechanism that knows no failures. 2. Senechka, 5-year-old, a little girl in a yellow sundress who sees the world as an ocean of wonders, but gradually calms down under the burden of adult problems. 3. Barnaby, an old teddy bear with worn fur and one button for an eye. In the world of the subconscious, he is the keeper of secrets. 4. Memory Weaver, a wise entity who helps Sophia tie the broken threads of her life. Part 1. The Attic of Forgotten Truths. Sophia was standing in the middle of the abandoned attic of her old house. It was raining outside, and its drops on the roof sounded like the footsteps of someone invisible. She came here to sign the papers for the sale of the house. Everything had to be fast. Pack your things, call cleaning, close the door forever. In the corner, under a layer of dusty burlap, she found an old box. There were children's things inside, but her eyes stopped on it. Barnaby. The bear looked pitiful. His once brown fur had thinned out. One ear hung on a thread. But as soon as Sophia took it in her hands, the time in the room began to stretch. The smell of old plush hit my nose, and it wasn't just the smell of dust, it was the smell of safety. "You haven't come back for too long," whispered a quiet, grumpy voice. Sophia screamed and dropped the bear, but instead of falling to the wooden floor, Barnaby hovered in midair. Circles began to spread around him as if on water, and the reality of the attic began to melt. Immersion. Pause. Close your eyes. Imagine your favorite baby toy. Feel its weight in your hands, its smell, the texture of its material. What did it know about you that no one else knew? Part 2. Valley of Whispers. Sophia found herself in a strange place. It was a valley overgrown with tall silvery grass that rustled with every movement. Instead of clouds, images floated across the sky. An old swing, a school bag, a broken knee. Barnaby was standing beside her. He was now the size of a large dog, and his single-button eyes shone with a soft amber light. "Where are we?" Sophia asked, feeling her adult armor begin to crack. "This is the Valley of Whispers, Soph," the bear answered. "Everything you whispered in my ear before going to bed gets here. Everything that was too heavy for a little girl, and that you decided to leave for me for safety." They walked along the path. The grass touched Sophia's hands, and each touch brought back a flash. Mom and Dad are screaming in the kitchen again. "I'm afraid that I'll get a B and won't be loved." I broke a vase and hid the shards under the carpet. "I think I'm bad." "I don't want to remember that," Sophia snapped. "It's just childish nonsense." "For you now, perhaps," Barnaby stopped. "But for the one inside you, they were the bricks you built your prison out of. Look, there." Part 3. The Memory Weaver and the Knot of Pain. A huge loom made of moonlight appeared in front of them. Behind him sat a woman whose face was constantly changing. It was sometimes young, sometimes ancient. "Hello, Sophia," said the weaver. "Your bear brought you because he can no longer carry your load. Its seams diverge. If it breaks, you will lose a part of your soul forever." The weaver handed Sophia the thread. It was black and prickly. "This is your most important secret. The one you didn't even trust, Barnaby, but he felt it through your tears as you fell asleep, holding him close to you." Sophia looked at Barnaby, the bear dejected. "Do you remember that night?" he asked quietly. "You were 6. You were waiting for your dad for his birthday, but he didn't come. You didn't say anything to your mother. You just crawled under the blanket, hugged me so tightly that very button came off. And you promised yourself that you would never wait for anyone again. You will never need anyone." Sophia felt a spasm in her throat. This was the moment when Iron Sophia was born. The moment when she decided that feelings are a danger. Reflection, pause. Think back to a moment in your childhood when you made the decision to be strong or not to feel. What did that decision cost you? What price do you pay for it today? Part 4. Healing Through Confession. Barnaby, Sophia knelt down in front of the bear. I'm so sorry. I left you in that box with all my pain. I thought that if I forgot you, I would forget that girl who was in so much pain. She began to stroke his thinning fur. Do you remember how I promised you to build a house where no one would scream? She whispered. I remember, the bear answered. But you built a fortress without windows. Sophia took the needle and thread from the weaver, but it was not a black barbed thread, but a golden, warm one. She began to carefully sew on Barnabas' ear, and then the eye button. With each stitch she pronounced the words that Sonechka must have heard. You could cry. Your worth doesn't depend on grades, or whether your dad came. You are worthy of love simply because you are. The valley around began to change. The grass has become emerald, and the sky is pale blue. A little girl in a yellow sundress ran out from behind the hill. It was She looked frightened, but when she saw the repaired Barnaby in Sophia's arms, she stopped. Part 5. Passing on Secrets. Sophia handed the bear to the girl. Here. He knows all your secrets, and now they won't hurt you anymore. Now they are your story, your strength. Sonechka hugged the bear, and at that moment, both of them, the girl and the toy, began to glow. They did not disappear. They began to slowly enter the heart of the adult Sophia. I won't hide you in a box anymore, Sophia promised. We'll take Barnaby to our new home, and we will learn to feel again. Together, the weaver of memories smiled and struck the strings of the loom. The sound was like the clear ringing of bells. Epilogue. Sophia opened her eyes in the dusty attic. The rain stopped. A ray of the setting sun broke through the window, illuminating the dust particles dancing in the air. She sat on the floor, clutching an old, battered bear to her chest. He was just a toy, a piece of plush and padding. But now, Sophia knew there was a treasure inside it. Her right to be vulnerable, her right to be alive. She stood up, gently dusted off Barnaby, and put it not back in the box, but in her leather bag on top of the legal papers. Going down the stairs, she took out her phone and deleted the message from the cleaning service. She will not sell the house in a hurry. First, she would plant an apple tree here, the same one that Sonechka had once whispered to Barnaby before going to bed. Your practical assignment after the story. This story is about how a toy becomes a container for feelings that we could not live through ourselves. 1. Write a letter to your favorite toy. Thank her for keeping your secrets all these years. 2. Ask her, what's the most important secret you keep for me? What did I forget to survive? 3. Give a gift to your inner child. Buy something that symbolizes the very joy that your toy knew. Let's take a look into one of Barnabas' deepest pockets of memory. This will help us understand how small childhood events turn into huge slabs that block our breath in adulthood. We will return to the Valley of Whispers, to the moment when Sophia holds the same black barbed thread in her hands. The secret of shards under the carpet. Barnaby walked over to Sophia and touched her palm with his paw. A scene from the past appeared in front of them. As if in a fog, 6-year-old Sonechka was standing in the middle of the living room. At her feet is a broken porcelain vase, her mother's favorite thing. Barnaby, you don't remember the vase itself. Sophia, you remember the cold that shackled your fingers. Your main secret wasn't that you broke something. Your secret was, if I'm not perfect, the world will collapse, and I'll no longer be noticed. Sophia, I was just afraid that my mother would be upset. She was crying all the time because of her dad back then. Barnaby, no. Look deeper. Then you took a dustpan and a broom, collected the largest pieces, and covered the fine dust and sharp scales of porcelain under the carpet. You came to me, hugged me and whispered, "Now everything is beautiful again. No one will know I'm bad." Memory Weaver interjecting, "You see, Sophia, it was that night that you learned facade happiness. You decided that your sharp edges, your mistakes, and your imperfection were something that had to be swept under the rug at all costs." Sophia! But it's just a vase. Barnaby, it wasn't a vase. It was your freedom to be a living child. From that day on, you started sweeping everything under the rug. Your tiredness, your anger, your need for help. You've become the best lawyer in town because you're a master at hiding cracks. But you're afraid to walk around because you know there's still those sharp shards under the carpet, and they cut you every time. When you're trying to relax, why is this secret so important? Psychological analysis. This secret of Barnaby reveals to us the mechanism of perfectionism as a form of trauma. 1. Shame instead of guilt. The child does not feel "I did wrong wine," but "I am bad shame." In order to survive, he creates a mask of the ideal self. 2. Prohibition of vulnerability. If I show that I am broken or don't know something, I will be rejected. 3. Body clamp. Sophia suffers from tension in her shoulders and back as an adult. A body that is still hiding the pieces, afraid to move and reveal the truth. Barnabas' words to Sophia and to you. The secret is not that you broke the vase. The secret is that you had the right to break it, and you had the right to be hugged, even when everything around you is falling to pieces. Jump to your personal story. Toys often witness just such silent disasters. When there was no screaming, there was no overt violence, but an inner decision was made. I will never again. Or I always have to. Let's try to transfer this to your experience. Imagine that your favorite toy is now sitting in front of you. She was silent for a long time, keeping your fragments under the carpet. What imperfect act from childhood could she remind you of, for which you still subconsciously blame yourself? What rule did you adopt then? For example, you must always be silent. You must always be the first. You cannot ask for help.